Sawadee Cap. Welcome back to Tales of Thailand, your channel for stories of authentic travel, culture, and real-life experiences from the land of smiles. Today's tale is from subscriber Andy from England, who spent 3 months in Thailand volunteering and exploring both its beautiful countryside and its notorious nightlife. Andy shares raw, honest reflections on his journey navigating the complexities of Thailand, the stunning landscapes, the vibrant cultures, and the shadowed, naughty nightlife that both amazed and challenged him. In this story, Andy recounts his first daring steps into places like Patpong and Pattaya, his encounters with bargirls, and his internal struggle between curiosity, morality, and the harsh realities faced by many in the industry. Through candid moments of self-reflection and adventure, he paints a vivid picture of Thailand beyond the postcards, the good, the bad, and the confusing. I am a 22-year-old Farang from UK and went to Thailand during the summer for 3 months. During that time I did some volunteer work teaching English near to Ubon, Rachatani, and discovered that Thailand is an absolutely beautiful country, although in my opinion the place is pretty screwed up at the moment. I'm not entirely sure my intention for this submission, probably just to try and express my mixed feelings about Thailand and how it really has amazed me in all sorts of ways. I think though that I will try to stick to the naughty nightlife as my main subject. Now don't get me wrong, I ain't innocent and certainly didn't behave like one throughout my stay in Thailand. During my first week in Thailand my curiosity got the better of me and I wandered to Patpong on a bright sunny afternoon. My intentions of course merely to investigate, look but not touch if you get me. Of course when I got there the place was as dead as a doornail with only a couple of extremely dodgy looking Thai geezers with pamphlets for massage parlors whispering filthy nothings into my ear as I walked up and down the 2 streets. You one good boom boom. Not very inviting when you say it, mate, get out of my sight. Now this was merely an introduction for me. I found it slightly uncomfortable but hadn't experienced the full whack of Patpong insanity, in fact nowhere near to it. That day I ended up going to a massage parlor, curiosity getting the better of me let's say, down the road from Patpong, nothing to do with the touts, just a Thai woman popping her head out from behind a tinted glass door and beckoning me over, a real dive I would never have gone to had I known better. Of course that was funny in itself seeing as I didn't have a clue if it really was just a massage parlor or whorehouse. Clear as Koh Tao seawater looking back, but still at the time I was fairly innocent to the ways of Thailand's dens. Really I should have copped when the lady massaged my groin, full groin, for about 20 minutes, but still I tentatively had to ask with fear in my voice was a bit of shagging on the menu. Now apart from this incident I didn't have anything to do with the naughty nightlife, and spent a good month or so teaching and learning a lot about how the Isaan region operates. It was a great place to be as there were barely any Farang, not a commercial spot in the slightest. At least it felt like an authentic experience. Anyway, over this period I reflected on my visit to the parlor and felt a little bad about it. I had read a book regarding the structure of the nightlife industry in Asia and it was quite shocking, some of it. Although extremely biased, there were some cold hard facts about these girls' backgrounds and how really they don't have a choice. I agree it can be argued they do, but if you're a village girl whose virginity has been sold at the age of perhaps 13, maybe younger, and then passed on into the mainstream industry, what else do they know? It's not merely a decision of, oh okay, I'm not gonna do this anymore. It reminded me of the town where I'm from and friends of mine who don't want to leave because they've been there all their lives, and anything outside is too difficult for them to handle. It is the same mentality with a bar girl, except much harder I imagine. This world of is all they know. At first they are forced into it without choice, and then when they do have the chance to decide for themselves, they force themselves into it. Of course I am speaking generally, I'm sure there are exceptions to the rule as always. Now, I may have sounded like a little bit preachy in the last paragraph, please bear with me, it was my small manhood that decided to contradict my newfound moral standings. I was in Ubon and drunk, and the mindless caveman inside me took over. I'm sure you know what I mean. I was horny and I was going to find a whore. Now there's no need to go into this, It freaked me out that I chose a girl form behind a tinted window, meaning I could see her but she couldn't see me. I think it was a mainly Thai frequented joint, really was nothing like any go-go bar, which I found out later. The next day I felt bad once more. The more I thought about it, I just decided to forget about it and try and be stronger-willed next time. That afternoon, I felt my Jolly Roger take over again. I asked the porter in my hotel could he organize me a lady friend. And of course this was no problem. I thought afterwards, so much for my willpower. You see, it must be explained that once I get horny, I get tunnel vision. By now I was getting a little bit worried about myself. What confused me about reading a lot of the submissions are that there doesn't seem to be anybody questioning if what is going on in Thailand is right or wrong. The worry for people seems to be whether they will get ripped off or not. To me that is very strange. In my mind there is no doubt that prostitution is mostly a bad thing. And I don't say that on a high horse, really. I'm sure you're thinking at this point, what are you talking about? You haven't even sampled Patpong yet. How do you know what it's really like? Fair enough, but let me tell you about my first Patpong experience. I was in Bangkok en route to Koh Chang for a week with two of my workmates, one a girl and one a guy, both around my age. We had a night to kill in Bangkok and I said that we should check out Patpong. I was bored of Khao San Road and had heard that Patpong was something of an experience. Having timed it arse ways the last time, I was pretty excited, I must say, about seeing it in full swing. I wasn't disappointed. What a circus it is down there. My mind was blown right off wandering through that place. The overpriced stalls, the glimpses of flesh through the doors, dodgy characters wandering the streets, be it Farang or Thai or whatever other freaks decide to arrive for the night. Young, old, ugly, fat, drunk, tall, thin, bright lights, flashing lights, women, men, etc. It was unreal. Everywhere I looked my eyes would widen a little bit more. The poor girl who tagged along with me and the other guy, who it must be said was reluctant, looked like she was about to collapse. As we wandered around we eventually decided we would check out one of the ping pong shows. So up to King's Castle we all went, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed. Going up those stairs I felt I was stepping into the very belly of action. I was going to be digested and spat out in a completely different state than when I went in. The first thing I see as I turn into the club is a woman lying flat on her back on the stage. Don't know about you, but it was quite foul looking. And as the time passed it seemed more and more bizarre and perverted. Eventually all I could do was laugh. That night I didn't get any action at all. I didn't want it, to be honest. I was just too shocked by the whole thing, and I was more bewildered than horny. Of course the girls tried to mob me and fill me with patter, but it just wasn't happening. Of course my poor Farang lady friend had to leave with the shock. The other friend, however, had the night of his life with the naked women jumping all over him. Kid in a candy store comes to mind. Probably more innocent this chap than anyone I've ever met. It was a little disturbing to watch him get a hand job and have him look straight at me like he honestly didn't have a clue what was happening to him. Okay, I hope that I am not explaining too much about the actual event, it's just I wanted to express my absolute amazement at Patpong at first impressions. To be honest, by the end of the night I was a little bored in King's Cattle and left with a feeling that the whole place was a facade for a quite horrible and seedy business. Off I went to Koh Chang, and had a brilliant time without really thinking about the naughty nightlife, meeting people, drinking, partying, a healthy wholesome time, shall we put it. One night while drunk I picked up a bar girl from a group of bars on the main road. Now I think this is a crucial point. The bar girl experience seems much more like a real pickup. The girls chat with you, flirt, play pool, whatever. And to me this is why the rights and wrongs aren't even questioned. Maybe men in Thailand on the bar girl trail are deluding themselves that they are having any sort of real relationships with these girls, I don't know. But once you pay, it is prostitution, full stop. Some of the submissions here seem pathetic to me, that a man goes to these places and pretends that he is actually somehow making these girls attracted to him for anything other than his cash. I will fast forward now. I returned to Isaan, finished my teaching, went to Cambodia, the usual, Angkor, breathtaking Phnom Penh, a bit rough to be honest, Sihanoukville, very relaxing place to be. Had a fantastic time, met some great folk, drank a lot etc. I generally learnt a lot about myself and my approach to life, just what I needed. Back into Thailand, at this stage with a chap in tow, very interesting guy. At this point was where the naughty nightlife comes back into play. I honestly hadn't even wanted or barely thought about anything of that nature for about a month. I was studying the map and planning my route from Trat to Koh Phangan for the full moon party. I hadn't heard much about Pattaya to be honest, and it was never really my plan to go there. But I think it is fair to say that at that moment I got a bit of tunnel vision. I looked up my guidebook and was intrigued by what I read. Apart from the obvious, Pattaya sounded kind of cool, plenty of activities and things to do. I myself like a wee bit of golf, so I said I'll check it out. So I persuaded my Israeli friend that Pattaya would be worth a look. What the guidebook mentioned is that, yes, there are a lot of prostitutes in Pattaya on the beach strip. What it failed to mention is that every bar in the place is filled with them. I'm not one to judge. It's up to these guys to decide their own morals. So off I go to Pattaya, play golf in the day, and go for booze in the night. My Pattaya experience begins. We wander around, generally it's quite like Patpong except that there is no market, no mucking about, straight to the point. We go into a joint of walking street that has a huge head of a shark as the entrance. My educated guess would be that this place is called Shark, but I'm not sure. It's very much like Patpong except it's actually cleaner, and the girls are noticeably better looking. At this point though, the Mama-san sat down two girls beside us. The one beside me looked young, but you never know with Thais, said she was 21. I dunno, I wasn't particularly interested anyway. But the girl who sat beside my French friend looked shockingly young. I mean, this female had barely developed. She was just plain unattractive to me. It disturbed me a lot that she was in this place. I was even more perturbed when she left my friend after getting no attention and was motioned over by an old guy who looked like he could be on his deathbed. Down she sat and this guy proceeded to basically examine her. As this was going on, some absolutely drunken Arabian guy obviously was feeling like he had sacrificed himself and was in heaven with 50 virgins. The guy honestly made it look like being in this place was some sort of profound religious spiritual experience. He was looking towards the sky with his hands joined, kneeling to the woman, babbling away in his own language. He even started crying at one point. So we finished our drinks and got out of there pronto. We wandered around shooting shit for a while and eventually plopped our asses down at a group of beer bars and got extremely drunk. Of course, with the drunkenness comes the tunnel vision, which I soon got. We went back to the hotel. My friend had no interest and wanted his bed, so I was left to my own devices for the remainder of the night. It was about 2 in the morning though, so not much was on the cards. I sat at a bar owned by this Geordie guy and there were a good few expats there. I had a drink and asked him where I could pick up some chicks. He told me to go down to Soi 7 and 8, I think, I can't remember. Anyway, down I went and the place was petty dead, to be honest. It was finishing up. They gave me a drink though and I started talking to two girls who seemed about my age. At this stage one can safely say I was rotten drunk and asked the girls do they both want to come with me. There was no bar fine for some reason, they said, they were off duty or something. But what happened was very different than my plan. After talking to them for a while I actually was getting on with them and enjoying their company, as false as it might have been. I decided that I didn't want to boom them and feel bad about it the next day. For some reason, please don't think I am a druggie, I'm really not, I asked did they want to take some ecstasy with me. This is not something I am a regular taker of at all, and I think it was just cause I was drunk. Please don't let these taint what you think of me. They seemed pleasantly surprised and agreed it could be fun. Really, once we made this decision, and the girls knew I didn't want boom boom, we had a great laugh. I hopped on the back of their motorbike, 3 of us on it, and went down to Walking Street. They met some older looking chick and I went off and played pool with one of them while the other located the goods. Looking back, my actions were really careless and I could have been completely screwed over, but I was very drunk. I did at the time get a bit sketchy and made sure I hid my credit card. My point about it is, I had a really good time with the girls. And it was a relationship, short as it was, that wasn't based on sex. We ended up going to my hotel room for the rest of the night, just talking and having a laugh. The next morning I left and said goodbye to them. I found it a bit sad really that they were gonna go on shagging for a living while I was off to the full moon party. I really think that it is a poor lifestyle for them. The whole nightlife industry in Thailand really baffles me. On one hand I think it's wrong and it's making bad of many girls' lives who could be a lot more, but on the other I would be lying if I said I didn't find it alluring and attractive. It turns me on, what can I say? I don't know about anyone else who has experienced the ladies of the night in Thailand, but I'm split on the whole thing. I think it's the split between some sort of caveman mentality and one where we actually have the ability to think and rationalize our actions. I hope that someday the rational, evolved part of my brain takes full control, and my idea that using prostitution is a weakness, it is easy, and altogether unhealthy. This of course is for myself. I am returning to Thailand in a few months and I can't wait. There is so much that is great about the place without the play scene. I will be interested to see if I dabble in it again though. I know I have left quite a bit out of this looking back on it, but I just hope it gives you an idea of my Thailand experience in relation to the naughty nightlife. Thanks so much for joining us on this journey through Andy's eyes. His story highlights the contrasts and contradictions of Thailand, revealing both its beauty and its challenges. What do you think? Have you ever had a similar experience or conflicting feelings while traveling? Share your thoughts and stories in the comments below. We love hearing from you. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button, subscribe to Tales of Thailand, and ring the notification bell so you don't miss our next adventure into the heart of this incredible country. Sawadee Cap, and see you next time.